the next couple days. And one of the things that has really I've been wrestling with is I don't like the title of this presentation. When I first started it, this was kind of what I was thinking. But as I started thinking about it, what we're going to talk about and what I wrote out is really more about things you can do whether you have a communications department or not. And maybe some of you ended up in this role just like I did. So I started at Lewis Central in 2014. And so when I got there, I did the, hold on, this is a new slide. I forgot this was in here. 2 reasons that we use social media. Number one is the most important thing that we talk about in schools today, and even Ken mentioned it this morning, is relationships. I just edited a video for our instructional coaches, and one of the things that they kept coming back to when we're talking to our new teachers is building relationships, whether that's staff to students, whether that's staff to staff, whether it's the school district to the community. We can use social media to build those relationships so that when something happens that's negative towards your school, the school district can kind of come together, the community can come together. We rarely have issues with negativity on our social media accounts. But a couple times that we've had it, we had a student who gave us a 1-star rating on Facebook. It's like, I wouldn't send my kids to school. And so I was like, oh, well, whatever. I mean, you can only do so much. So I sent it to our principals, and they're like, oh yeah, she was tardy for the 3rd time this week, and it was Wednesday. And so, but I don't always comment on negative stuff, and a lot of times I leave it there. But the community stepped in, and we have parents that are saying, what's the deal? Like, what happened? You know, what's going on? And so we don't have to police it because we've kind of started building those relationships. The other part of this presentation, and the one that I'm the most passionate about, is giving our students opportunities. You've heard about student opportunities a lot, especially around college and career ready, whether that be the trades or any other thing associated with that, and I don't disagree with that. But social media is a part that we really can utilize our students to help tell our story, either as themselves or as the school district, which is what I'll get into, because like you, this is really, like, I define my role as, like the communication manager, is other duties as acquired. Because this is kind of how it started. When I got there in 2014, I said, hey, who runs your social media? Knowing full well they didn't have a lot. And they said, nobody. My boss was like, nobody does it. I said, well, can I do it? And they said, sure. And that was the extent of my interview for being the social media director for a 3,000 student K-12 public school. That's how I ended up here. A short conversation. I said, do we need to talk to the superintendent? And I said, oh, he won't care. He'll be fine. I'm like, oh, okay. All right, well, let's go with it then. Again, if you have the slides, this looks bigger on your screen than it does up here. Pew Research Center does a lot of internet, social media surveys. And earlier this year, this spring, they released 2 of these. This one is about social media and the majority of Americans, which is normally your target audience. And they found that 68% of adults use Facebook. Okay? That number, we can debate where that number is going to go. We can debate how we break that number down and who's using what. But the reality is, a lot of our public is still on Facebook and using it at a regular basis. The other one that is really interesting to me is this one down here, Instagram. We'll talk about this throughout the session. Instagram is one of my new go-to favorites for social media. We have to look at who is telling our story. Eric Scheninger does keynotes and speakers, former principal. He wrote a blog post years ago that when I introduced this to the board, it's really kind of what I laid the foundation with, is we have all these free tools out there. We have to be able to help craft that narrative, whether it is on Facebook to the general public. Because as you guys know, if you're going to pass a bond, not everyone who votes on it has parents that have kids in your school district. So how can we reach them and build those relationships ahead of time so when that time comes, they've already seen what's happening in schools. I live in suburban Omaha, and my kids' school district does these like bus tours where they bring 15 people in at a time, which that's fine. Nothing replaces face-to-face communication, and we talk about that with social media. But we have 1,500 to 2,000 people that see the posts that we put up every day, and we don't have to bring them in through a school. I don't have to rent, how many buses is that? 150 buses and take 1,500 people around our 4 buildings. So social media is a quick way to help tell your story in the good times and the bad. The other thing that I think is fascinating, this is strictly students. So students age, I believe it's 18 to 24. No, I think this one's younger than that, 13 to 18, somewhere in that range, because we all know kids under 13 don't have social media accounts because it's illegal. 85% of students say they use YouTube. 32% say that is the most often that they go to. Okay, so obviously these aren't going to add up to 100, especially on the left-hand side, because you can pick more than one. 85% use YouTube. 72% of our students use Instagram. I will say out of the 1,000 or so followers we have on Instagram, I haven't done the complete research, the majority of them, vast majority, are students that follow us on Instagram. Our former family consumer science teacher started an Instagram account like 2013, 2014, and her point was, if my students are going to be on Instagram, they might as well look at my class. This gives them a peek into what it could be. Snapchat, 69%, 35% of our students said, or 35% of the students surveyed said that is the tool that they use the most often. I would say we did a quick, very informal survey with our journalism students. It was closer to 70% of them. That's the first app they check in the morning. Facebook, still 51% of students say they use it. Twitter, Tumblr, Reddit are following up there. What do you notice about the top 3 apps? What do they all have in common? What's the basis for them?
Visual.
They're visual. All of them are visual. The top 3 apps are visual. If you've kept up on news about Facebook, they very much value multimedia, images and video. Twitter, not as much. So we're going to talk a little bit about how you can leverage some of that as we go through. Heather Callahan, who happens to be sitting up here, and this is not a shameless plug for me to put her name in the slides. We were having a conversation one day because she's in a very similar boat that I am, both job-wise and district-wise. Images stop your scrolling. If you ever, I noticed that some of you are on Twitter, and that's great, and I'm so glad for that. When you're scrolling through, either on your phone, you'll notice if it's a text, you may, if you see their profile picture, you may stop and see who it is. But if something pops up, whether that's an image or a video, you pause because you want to see what it is. Images stop the scrolling through content. So be aware of that. And we'll talk about different types of posts that you can do here in a little bit, but that is something to keep in mind. So I want to go through a little bit about what we use these 6 apps in the background for. We do use all 6 of those, some better than others. We'll talk about what they're for. Facebook is by far our biggest platform as far as users go. I think we have 2,900, 3,000 students. We have 2,300 plus that like our Facebook page. Facebook is really what we call evergreen content. Twitter is very much a timeline, quick scroll through. Facebook, because of their algorithms, things pop up over a couple days. So it's not really great for timely information, but it's really great for celebrating certain things. You can't necessarily just put announcements there. We'll talk about how we do that later. So when we talk with kids or we think about what we're doing, evergreen content comes to mind. Our largest audience, and especially non-child households, what I mean by that, the Facebook statistics show that the average age of Facebook is rising. So a lot of people that like it may be grandparents, or they may not have students that still live there, but they follow to see what's going on or not students that live there, students that attend our school, but they may still be following to see what's going on. This is the one that I'm most pickiest about the quality of the content. I don't want text speak in very many things that we're putting out as a district. Because this is kind of our main place that we have people interacting with, I'm a little bit more picky about the type of things that go on there. We have done Facebook ads. One of the things that we've done, especially around open enrollment time, if we're being honest and we're having a safe space here, we'll put out information and we'll target certain areas to say this is what's going on in our schools. We don't ever explicitly say you should come to our school, but we do put information out strategically about what all the great things that we think are going on in our school district. Those can be very targeted. We actually looked at the local newspaper. It was going to be $2,700 for us to put a one-page color paper in every newspaper that got delivered, which is like 19,000 or something like that. I don't remember the exact numbers. But there's no way that you can tell me how many people saw that. I know what happens to the weekly paper that everybody gets in my own driveway. You can't tell me who actually looked at it and who didn't. A Facebook ad for significantly less money, you can be specific about where it's going, and I can tell you exactly how many people looked at it. If it's a video, I can tell you how long they watched it, and I can target people that really are interested in it. If you do the local paper, there are people that live on the north side of Council Bluffs that aren't ever going to send their kids to our school district, and that's fine, but they're still going to get this. So, and you customize how much money you want to spend. So if you want to spend $300, you'll spend $300, and they'll figure out who gets what. It's not very transparent, but it does let you use your money a little bit wiser. The other thing that we've done is live events on Facebook. A couple of years ago, we do the homecoming pep rally on Thursday nights with all the teachers doing the dances and stuff like that. We've done that. The last 2 years, we've had an assistant principal that's read a book on Facebook Live. Amber Tiemann was here. She's a principal from Texas. She was here at the One-to-One Summit last spring. We stole this idea from her. She does a Facebook Live event, like a back to school bedtime story that we've done a couple years. That video is then saved on your website or on your Facebook page, so people don't have to watch it live. It's archived there. So that's been pretty successful for us. One of the newest things, if you have, I don't know if I put the slide in because I didn't think I'd get it. No. You can now, if someone likes one of your posts, it will say in the alert, so-and-so liked your post, invite them to see your page so that they can stay up to date. So I mentioned we have like 2,900 students, and we sat at like 2,200 some likes for the longest time. And I thought maybe we're at a saturation point. We're not like a business where we have a finite audience or an infinite audience. We have a finite group of people that really care about our school districts. And I think that's true for most school districts. But what I found is that this summer, when this was introduced, I would just start inviting people. And I thought, well, it's only a one-time thing. You don't get asked multiple times to invite the same person. It will just say that they've been invited. We have added, I think, 150 likes to our Facebook page just since the end of July. So I guess we're going on 2 months or something like that. When we really had not had a lot of growth over the last school year. So I would encourage you to do that. I was actually at a meeting not too long ago with someone who does nonprofit social media stuff, and they thought it was kind of creepy. I don't really care. I think it's fine. I mean, I don't think it's a huge deal. I mean, I get it. I can understand why someone would think that, but I do it. Flipboard's a little bit different. Flipboard, I'm a huge fan of. Flipboard is not necessarily social media. I refer to it as like a 21st century version of a 3-ring binder. Basically what it lets you do, it serves two purposes. So one, it's news aggregation. You can create a free Flipboard account and you can say, I like politics. and different stories from all around the internet will come in that have to do with politics. You can like them, dislike them, whatever. You can do all of that. The other part of Flipboard is you can make your own magazines about topics that interest you. So we're a Google district. I'm really interested in Google stuff, so I have a Flipboard magazine called, what's it called, G Suite EDU or something like that. So if I'm on my phone, I have Flipboard installed on it, I can click the share button and I can put it into a specific magazine. Likewise, if I'm on the internet, I have a Chrome extension, there's a Safari one as well, where if I click on that, a little pop-up window comes and I can put different things into a magazine. So it could be any topic that you want. I created one for Lewis Central, and so what we do is if tweet from one of our staff, one of our students is appropriate, any Facebook, we have parents that post images from different events, the news media, if they write a story about us, I'll put that in there. So really it's no different than when you used to cut out the newspaper article about your district and glue it onto a piece of paper. But this is a public one, then probably once every Friday. Friday is like Flipboard Friday globally. So I usually join in with that, and what I've done lately is I'll take a picture that I saved from the week, and I will make that the cover. You can define what you want the cover photo to be. So basically I click on a Twitter post and I say promote to cover. So this picture here, this is our, I believe, 7th grade volleyball team. We had a student who died probably about a year ago, maybe it was just last spring, from juvenile Huntington's disease, and the color is purple for that. So they all dressed in purple for one of the volleyball games this year, and they've been taking pictures for different things on there. So I promoted that. It's a way to get people to click on things, you know, and so my post was, you know, I don't know, something, you know, 7th grade, supporting Aiden's Army, which is their thing, to support the student. Oh, and by the way, see what else happened in the district this week. So they can click on that and flip through just like you would a regular magazine. It's by far the smallest follower count, but in 4 years I've added almost 7,000 things to it. So it's pretty quick to add to. There's not a lot of maintenance with it. But that would be something I would consider as a way to collect everything. Instagram. I mentioned I have a new obsession with this, especially around schools. And it really goes back to what we were talking about, images stop scrolling. Instagram has changed their algorithm because they're owned by Facebook, and so it's not just a timeline stream. It does have to be a little bit better picture because it can pop up at different times. This is by far our fastest growing audience, especially students. I don't have the numbers to tell you how many we've added, but we have well over 1,000 followers on Instagram. So I would encourage you to do that. Instagram Stories, which is if you're on a phone, it's the little bubbles that pop up above. It's the Snapchat knockoff, where they only show up for 24 hours. We've been pretty adamant about those. If you go to our Instagram account now, like today, we're playing volleyball at Shenandoah, so it's an Instagram post of the varsity sporting events for the day. We totally stole that from the University of Nebraska, because that's one of the things they did last year, is they would put up they would do broader events than what we have, but it was just an easy way for us to say what's going on. One of the things that I did use, and I think this link, I don't know if it is, I may have missed this link on our website. If this then that, ifttt.com allows you to create what are called now applets to automate some of these processes. So we had Instagram before Instagram, I think before Instagram was owned by Facebook. I created a applet that says if I post to Instagram, automatically upload it to a folder in Flipboard or Facebook. Sorry, got my F's mixed up. The other part of that, you have a Twitter share button in Instagram, but Instagram and Twitter are not owned by the same people, so they don't like each other, and heaven forbid we make things easy. You can use if this then that to automatically post your picture to Twitter as a native Twitter picture, so that in your timeline it doesn't give you a link back to Instagram, it simply shows the picture in Twitter. This saves me a ton of time. I will say though, I have thought more and more recently about, do I automatically want things to go back and forth between everywhere? Because platforms sometimes don't carry over. The biggest one that we'll see is Twitter versus Facebook. Because Twitter usernames look really awesome in Twitter, they look stupid in Facebook. So like the other day, we used Peach Jar for electronic flyers. So Peach Jar was like, hey, school districts, would you put out something that says you're doing this? Oh, yeah, sure, whatever, that's fine. So the post was, reminder, we use @PeachJar for our flyers. That looks really cool on Twitter. It looks stupid on Facebook, so I have to go in and edit that. So I will say this is really neat, but you kind of have to be careful. You think through that. I'm still thinking through it of how we change that. So Instagram, though, by far my favorite. The other thing I'll do every now and then is I will do a search for, you know that you can put buildings or places in Instagram. I will sometimes do a search for our school district and our buildings and see what people have put there. Sometimes that's good, sometimes it's bad, sometimes I like it, sometimes I think, I don't really know if a kid wants me to like that picture, so I'll skip it. But consider that as well. Snapchat. If I'm being honest, I started a district Snapchat account so students didn't get the same username as our other social media. I didn't want them to have Blue Essential CSD. So that's why we have a Snapchat account. I rarely use it. I'll talk in a little bit more about this, but we have social media interns who are students. That was the first question she asked me. Do you have a Snapchat account? I'm like, yeah. I don't really use it. Can I use it? So I don't know you well enough. So at any rate, what I've done now recently, we have the lowest amount of followers, lowest amount of engagement, but that's because we don't use it and we don't promote it because I don't use it very much. A lot of times, what I do now, I mentioned how much I love Instagram stories, the Snapchat knockoff. I really just repurpose content from Instagram stories there. Funniest part of that is I normally forget. So before you all came in, I was all set up, but I was flipping through the slides to make sure everything worked. And I was like, oh yeah, I didn't post a Snapchat today, but I posted Instagram stories. So I grabbed the picture that I had from Instagram and put it in the Snapchat. Here's the one thing I do like though. If you follow like really famous people on Instagram, you will sometimes notice that they have a link at the bottom where it says swipe up for more. You have to have, because I looked this up because I wanted to do it, you have to have 10,000 followers or a verified account. Well, we're never going to get to 10,000 followers. I doubt it. But in Snapchat, you can do that even though we only have like 100 followers on Snapchat. So like this one, we had an amazing volleyball game the other night. It was a great game all around by both teams. So I grabbed a picture that I had already posted to Instagram. Did like whatever the fancy filter stuff is, because kids think that's cool. But then I could copy and paste the link from the newspaper article and put it in Snapchat so kids could read it through there. So that is, I will say that is the one thing I like about it, is they're not as judgmental about me not having enough friends to post to Instagram. So that is one thing to consider. Again, this is not one I use a lot. So yeah, were you going to say something? No. You had that look on your face. No. If it's going to be smart, you can. Okay. Twitter. Twitter is kind of a whole different animal. Twitter is really more like, not even data, but it's more like an hour of content. The stream just keeps flowing and flowing. I've noticed more and more people that retweet themselves because they're trying to get that content back up in front of people. This is probably the place we have the most conversations. I don't know if your students do this. We have one or two students that, man, if it's even thinking about snowing, hey, school tomorrow? You know what, it's fun. I got an animated GIF the other night from one of our favorite students, Emma, who does this all the time. And there was like the Peanuts gang out ice skating, and it says Happy Snow Day. And I think her tweet was, it's about that time of year. It's like, yeah, it's still October, and it's like Sunday afternoon, you'll be fine. So we have a lot of conversations here. This is our middle school principal, does a pretty good job. I don't get middle school schedules, maybe middle school folks do. We have like Olympia days and Titan days, and some days are blocked and some days aren't, and I don't get that. He does a great job of filling me in on a daily basis from his Twitter account about what day it actually is. And then every now and then he'll add an animated GIF, because again, images stop scrolling. Two other things that I do. I maintain 2 Twitter lists. One Twitter list is for all of our activities. Anything from student council to we have Girl Up, if you haven't heard of that. It's a girl empowerment group. It's a national group. We have our own chapter, I guess they call it. Sports accounts. That is a public list that anyone can go follow. I also have a private list for our teachers. And teachers know that I have this list of them, but maybe your teachers are different. Mine do not always post about educational stuff on their Twitter accounts. Sometimes I don't want the public to know that these teachers work for us with some of the things they put on our Twitter accounts, especially when their football team is playing on Saturday and it's not going well. So I do maintain a private list of that. Simply do it because that is an easy way. We just talked about how Twitter is an hour of content space. That helps me see what's going on. How I manage that is through TweetDeck. If you haven't used TweetDeck, it's an app, but it's also a website, tweetdeck.twitter.com. It allows you to do different columns of information. It allows you to add in more than one Twitter account. So I have my personal Twitter account, I have a district Twitter account, all there. And then the columns can be, so I have a Twitter account for my mainstream, I have a Twitter account for mentions. So when people reply back to us, you can decide if you want to add likes in there. I don't necessarily, because I don't need to interact with that. I have a column for our activities list, and I have a column for our teacher list. I also have a column for our name. One of the things that I found is that especially early on, the news media was not using our Twitter account to mention that they said something about us, which is fine. Like, I get it. They got a huge city they got to cover. So I have a Twitter account that searches for Lewis Central. It's pretty pointless for me to search for LC because I don't know if you know this, there's a lot of words that have LC together in them. A lot of words. Many of them are not English. So that's just like a stream of nothingness to me. So I have one for Lewis Central. It works great for that purpose. It also works great if a kid is dumb enough to say Lewis Central effing sucks or something like that. That was never been the purpose of it. However, my favorite story is we had a student, we're in Iowa, so we went after Memorial Day, and a student said, "Who the hell made Lewis Central's schedule? I'm going to kick his ass." Okay, fair enough. This is what I normally do. Screenshot that, send it to the principals, and say, "Happy Monday, here you go." Called the kid down. Kid had no idea what was going on because I didn't respond to him. Principal said, "Hey, why don't you shut the door?" Kid's like, "Oh, okay, shut the door." He goes, "All right, let me have it." Kid's like, "What are you talking about?" "Oh, well, you said you wanted to kick my ass because I made the schedule." And he like starts crying. And I'm like, that is the perfect way I want to handle that. I mean, it was great. He had to call his dad. Like, it was awesome. I mean, there are sometimes it's really sad when the kids cry. Sometimes it's a lot of fun. And that was one of the fun ones. So know that you'll get that as well. You really just kind of have to be, judgmental. There are some things I'll send to administrators. Some things I don't. No one's, breaking news, not everyone's going to like you, especially as a school district. So, anyway. YouTube, we don't necessarily, YouTube is a place where we store content, specifically video. Video is king in today's social media world. So we add things there. We do the Parade of Excellence. Last year was the first year we did it, where we marched the seniors through all of our buildings. Fantastic event. Again, something we saw from other people's account. One of the things I would say is that what the algorithms, it appears, very much so value content on social media. So if we have something on YouTube, I don't share the YouTube link anymore. I do a second direct upload right to Facebook. So it automatically plays in Facebook so that parents will watch it and it'll grab their attention. YouTube, it doesn't always work that way. So it is an extra step. But I do encourage you, if at all possible, upload your videos directly to Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Instagram videos are a little different. Instagram values portrait mode, which is up and down. Everybody else likes landscape. So we don't necessarily use Instagram video a whole lot, unless we get lucky and everything in our videos in the middle of the thing. So. We also use YouTube Live. We have this YouTube Live. The nice thing about YouTube Live, so I talked about how we use Facebook Live, that's great, and I would always go that route. YouTube Live allows you to schedule things. So last year we did this Wall of Fame ceremony where middle school kids get to put their hand up on the wall. They paint their hand and put their handprint up on the wall to recognize whatever their criteria is. I don't remember, and it doesn't really matter for this, but we did a YouTube Live where we could embed the videos on our district website so parents could go there and watch all of that happening. So we had one happening in the auditorium. We had another camera set up or a phone really recording all of this in the cafeteria where they're putting their hands up on the wall. So it was two different video streams at the same time. YouTube let us embed those in our website so we just had to tell parents one place to go. And with Facebook algorithms and everything, it's easier for us to put it on our website. So don't forget about YouTube. Remember, I think Ken mentioned it this morning, how often you go to YouTube for stuff, to learn stuff, and kids really still do like it. So, a couple things about getting started. For me, it was more about refocusing. Last spring, I mentioned I had a social media intern. I had never really been accountable to anybody for my thought process until then. I really had to think about, why do I do this? Why do I do some of the things that we do? Number one, I would say know your goals. Your goal should not be to have 50,000 followers unless you are in one of the major cities, Des Moines, Iowa City, Cedar Rapids. Know what your student population is. That's kind of your goal, okay? It may be more about, we're just going to focus on this to get this out. Okay, that's fine. But define really where you want to go with it. What do you want to do with it? Do you want it to be all students? Do you want it to be more, your announcement piece? But have that conversation and write some of those things down. This is one thing I'm not very good at. I have an elementary ed degree, and I have all my masters are in something related to education. It is not marketing, it is not communications. I am not very good at sitting down and saying, these are the fonts we're going to use, these are the colors. I'm getting better with the colors. Fonts, I just haven't really thought through that process yet. Again, we have a small school, said, what's the font we use? They're like, Times New Roman. Okay, sounds right. So that's kind of what we go off of for our main branded content. One of the things I listened to a webinar not so long ago, and this lady was talking about how when she's scrolling through Instagram, she should be able to see a graphic and know that it's yours, based off colors, maybe consistent filters if you want that. I don't always know about the filters. I think different filters call for different things, but we try to use the colors, and I'll show you a couple ways that you can pick some of that stuff up. Hashtags are huge. Figure out a hashtag that makes sense for you. We are the Lewis Central Titans. We can't use hashtag Titan Nation because there is this team in Tennessee that plays in the NFL. It's kind of a bigger deal than we are. We also, where our colors are blue and whatever, we can't use Go Blue because Michigan, as much as probably everybody in this room hates it, Michigan's a bigger deal than we are. They already got the Go Blue thing going on. We're trying to use hashtag LC Titans. The nice thing about hashtags is a good friend of Heather's and I, he refers to it like a TV station. If I go to watch ESPN, I don't expect to see Home and Garden Network stuff on there. Likewise, when my wife goes to watch Home and Garden TV, she doesn't want to see the MLB playoffs on Home and Garden. Your hashtag should be what people are talking about your district. So, LC Titans, when we looked it up, no search results came up. Perfect, we'll start using that one. So, think about that. We try your best to limit it to one also. We have a parent group that likes to do LC, sports, and then whatever the sport is after it. I think sometimes you can have too many hashtags. We just did a new motto that's inspiring excellence. So we've kind of taken around with excellence LC. I don't really like how it's going at this point. We kind of have two. So less is more in that case. Involve kids. If you take nothing else away from what we're talking about today, I would highly encourage you to get kids involved. No one can tell the story better than they can, and no one can, and staff is kind of included in that. Let the kids be involved. This goes into the opportunities part of it. Find ways that they can help tell your story. Hopefully, though, this isn't how you involve your kids, is you write the username and password down, give them a sticky note, and have them go do that. There's a number of ways that you can do this. You could just do it through Google Drive, have kids submit pictures and text to go along with that. OneDrive, whatever, Dropbox, whatever you want to use. We do pay for a service called Class Intercom. Class Intercom, it's kind of like Hootsuite, where you can schedule posts. You can say, I want it to post to Facebook and Twitter at this time. I want it to go here, here, and here. But it acts as a gatekeeper. We have students that will create content. They will take pictures. They will write up whatever the caption is going to be, put it into Class Intercom, and then I can approve it, and then it goes out to our social media feeds. So we're taking the password part of that out of there. If you want to, I did this a few weeks ago, I was not going to be by my phone to approve anything. For Twitter and Facebook, you can give students that student account the ability to automatically post to one of those two. So I was going to be gone. We have been doing Instagram story. Instagram, you cannot post directly. You cannot post to Instagram from anywhere else but Instagram. It's an Instagram thing right now. So we've been doing Instagram stories. I wasn't going to be near my phone to approve stuff or upload. So I gave a student the ability through Class Intercom to post directly to our Twitter account some game updates that we were doing. Again, he doesn't have the Twitter account, but it automatically goes out there. So this is something I would highly encourage you to check out. This is what a week in Class Intercom looks like. So you can see, like right here, that's going to go to Facebook and Twitter. That's what time it's going to be posted. It's great if you have multiple students also, so then you can kind of see who's doing what and schedule everything out, so not everything goes out at 7:30 in the morning. And then, like I said, down here, anything that's red are days that we already have things scheduled for. So again, Class Intercom, it is a paid service. I honestly don't know if I would have let students be interns without having something like this. Because the management of the other things, it's doable, but it's not easiest. There's actually 3 districts in Iowa that use Class Intercom. Eric Ewald, I think his presentation's tomorrow, is going to talk about some of the things that he's doing as an elementary principal, which goes through Class Intercom. He'll obviously talk about the philosophy more, and then Nevada is also one that is using it as well. So I'll throw them under the bus. They can chat with you too. But I'm happy to talk about that a little bit. So how do we get kids? It's kind of the $1 million question. We have found that not every student wants to have the responsibility on Friday night at the football game. Some of them want to hang out with their friends, which is really weird. We have done this a couple ways. Number one, through our journalism class, we call it media production this year. That teacher has a list of different social media activities that students can do, and it's more than social media, but she has a list of social media activities that students can do that allow you to create content, and you get points that go towards class for that. We offer an internship class at Lewis Central. It's usually seniors, where they have 2 hours, Tuesday through Friday, that they can go work at different jobs. And that's actually how I got my first intern. last spring. Finally, I just emailed out, like, hey, anybody interested in this? No credit, but is anyone interested in it? When I was at the football game Friday night, I found out that one of our students asked a principal, can I go take pictures of the game? Thinking he was either an intern or can I be on the sidelines? Thinking he was an intern or in media production, the principal, yeah, sure, whatever. I'm like, well, I've never heard of the kid. So I emailed him today and said, hey, picture taking is not my thing. Will you work with me? Can I use your images for some of this? So again, we just kind of ask and see what we can do. Real quick, because I know that we're running short. Devin Schoening and I, Devin's in council plus does a similar job that I am. Former journalist, excuse me. We were talking this summer, and we've done this presentation for some of our coaches about the different types of posts that you could create. First one is text only. These are quick, informative things. I see like our football team will do this a lot. Hey, practice got moved to 4:30. Show up in shoulder pads and shorts. They're not very eye-catching, but they get the point across. The other thing that I've started doing more is please retweet, please help spread the word. On any social media platform, that encourages people to retweet it, people to share it. That boosts your name recognition. It boosts people seeing what it is that you're sharing. The next is text with images. This isn't like editing the image. This is one of our anatomy teachers, anatomy and biology. They were doing skincare the other day. This is not an overly tech-savvy teacher. This is a phenomenal teacher. But he just opens up Twitter, Tweetbot, whatever, snaps a quick picture, gives some context to what's happening, and sends it out. Images, stop your scrolling. Text and photo edit. This is another one of our interns this year. We were kind of trying to figure out like what she was going to do. She's really involved with band. Our calendar system does not include our fine arts department because they don't rent a field. So I don't always see like when we're going to competitions or whatever. So I was like, hey, I got the perfect job for you. I know that you know when that schedule is because you have to be there. Would you mind creating some stuff in class intercom? So this takes a third-party text or third-party app usually. One of the things that I've started doing is, I mentioned I'm in love with Instagram stories, and I'm sorry to keep reminding you of that, but if you can create a text image in Instagram stories with whatever you want it to be, and then once it posts, you can share it as a post to Instagram. So a couple weeks ago, it rained on the western side of the state, like 6 inches in 3 days or whatever it was. We moved the football game up from 7 to 6 to try and beat the rain. So I created it. If you go to Instagram stories, one of the options across the bottom is text. Got the little background, typed in the information I needed, and then posted it, and then did share as a post. So it's not very visually appealing, but you could do that. You could have a picture as a background. That's about the only way that you can make an image with text on top of it. Not nearly as nice looking as this one would be. Text and edited multimedia. I am trying to do a better job of using Photoshop and Adobe products because that's industry standard once kids get out of here. This is a very not overly exciting video that I made because we had conferences last week. Just nice and quick. It's the colors that we have. It's Times New Roman because that's ours. It's highly engaging. And again, kids love this stuff. One of the interns I have this year, this is what he wants to do, is do photo videoing. Like what he does for us is chump change. He's been contacted by because of the videos and Photoshop stuff that he's already sharing on Twitter. A Nebraska basketball recruit used him for a Photoshopped image when he was announcing what school he was going to attend. He works for a prep baseball, I don't know, select type team, putting images out for them. He's been contacted by the University of Louisville about doing stuff for them. So like when I say I had 1,500 views on your video, he's like, yeah, the other one had 3,000 for the other guy that I did. So, but just giving them the ability to use some of those things. How we do some of this. This is how I get colors. Color pick eyedropper. And again, these links are all there. Basically, it's a little Chrome extension. If you click on it and then hover over a web page, you can click on the color that you want, and it will tell you what that color code is. You can copy and paste that into Google. You can copy Canva, which I'll talk about in just a second. All of that, it just gives you whatever color it is. So I have it written down. I just open up our school website, click on one of the blues, and then I have the color code that I want. Free tool there. Canva on the left is a web-based tool that allows you to create certain images. That text overlay that you saw that was created in Canva, we let students use that. Most of it's free. We've never had to pay for anything on Canva, although you can. On the right, Photoshop. Again, I'm still learning that stuff. I just got it installed not too long ago. But direct kids that way if you can. If this is something they want to do later. But again, Canva's a free option there. Music. If you're going to add music, YouTube's audio library is fantastic. It's free, and most of them you don't even have to cite the source, although normally I do. The other one that I've got to start using is bensound.com. That one you normally do have to, like in the captions, put like music by bensound.com. Not really a big deal. It doesn't take too long to go or to do that. But I use those a lot just to create some sort of theme behind whatever video we're creating for the school. A couple other resources to share that are all linked on there because I know we're up against the clock. I made a guideline for social media interns that I hand out to our students and kind of go over with them my expectations for what it is that they're going to be doing for me. It has links to the different resources they can use, like our typehead and other different graphic assets. So you're more than welcome to make a copy of that. I can share the LucidPress version with you if you want to use that. I mentioned Class Intercom. They just did a fantastic webinar earlier this year about using images. If you want to know more about that, there's just a ton of great resources. They're more into that marketing and branding part of it, but they work a ton with schools. I would encourage you to check that out. The link to the recording is there. I do think you have to put in your email address or something like that, but it is free for you to listen to. So be sure to check that out. Last thing, and that's my button saying that I have 1 minute left. Stop it. Be a creator yourself. I struggle talking with some of my students because I don't have the marketing background, I don't have the communications background, but I am trying myself to get better. I bought a better camera. I had the district, let's be honest, I had the district buy a better camera for me. I use my iPhone. I try to be creative. I try to get some of that stuff that you'll learn, like rule of thirds and stuff like that. I mean, there's a whole lot of stuff when you get your bachelor's degree that they don't talk about in what happens in schools, and we definitely don't talk about this part of it. So be a creator yourself. This was our first Instagram post, October 22nd, 2014. You can probably judge me on the filter. It was written 2014. I thought it was cool. It was our first one. We had 9 likes. That was awesome. I mentioned our family consumer science. They chimed in. How cool is that? I am trying to do a better job of telling stories. We had 1 senior this year on our volleyball team. And I was there taking pictures with our new camera. I will say this looks better on my computer than it does on the projector, okay? So, I mean, whatever. And we had 134 likes. So it's growing. It's not going to be overnight. It does take some time. I am happy either after this or my contact information is on the website. You're more than welcome to reach out if you ever have any questions. But I really appreciate you guys coming by today. So thank you.